Have you ever noticed something small? So small it didn't even seem like a big deal at the time? Maybe your mom started skipping meals more often. Or your dad seemed a little quieter than usual. Or maybe your aunt, who used to love walking around the garden, suddenly doesn't feel like going out at all. It's easy to brush those things off. We tell ourselves, they're just getting older, or they're probably just tired today. But what if those tiny changes are actually telling us something much, much bigger? What if they're silent little clues, pointing toward how long someone might live after 70? I know that sounds heavy, and honestly, it is. Because when you love someone, and they're getting older, you start noticing every little thing. The way they walk, the way they sleep, even how they smile. And you wonder, are they okay? Is this normal? Or is this something I should be worried about? The truth is, the body whispers before it screams. These subtle signs, so easy to miss, might be your only warning. Not just about sickness, but about time. About how much quality life they still have ahead of them. And listen, I get it. It's scary. Because nobody wants to imagine losing someone they care about. But recognizing these signs early could make all the difference. It might give you a chance to act, to support, to protect, before it's too late. You're not just watching this video to learn. You're watching because you care. Because you want to make sure your parents, grandparents, your partner, or even you, get the healthiest, happiest years possible after 70. So in this video, I'm walking you through 7 subtle, but scientifically backed, signs that might predict how long someone lives after 70. We're not talking about obvious things here. These are the quiet signals most people miss. And I promise, some of them might surprise you. But once you know them, you'll never look at aging the same way again. If you're here because you want to take better care of someone you love, or even yourself, drop a quick, "I'm here," in the comments. Let's build a community where we learn and support each other. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on Healthy Senior Advice. We're here to help you age well, live fully, and stay informed every step of the way. Alright, let's dive into the first sign, and it's one that often gets ignored, even by people who mean well. Imagine this. You stop by to see your dad. You bring him his favorite meal, maybe some home-cooked soup or a little treat from the bakery. He smiles, thanks you, but barely eats a few bites. You glance over and notice something. His belt looks looser. His pants are baggy. You mention it gently, and he laughs it off. I've just not had much of an appetite lately. Now, here's the thing. When someone's over 70, some changes in appetite can be expected. Sure. But unexplained weight loss, especially if it's happening without trying, is not something to overlook. You see, as we age, yes, the metabolism naturally slows down. We burn fewer calories. But sudden or steady weight loss isn't just a harmless side effect of getting older. It's often a signal, a red flag. The body might be struggling to absorb nutrients, or maybe the muscles are starting to waste away. Sometimes it points to digestive problems, thyroid issues, or even early signs of cancer or dementia. And sadly, by the time someone mentions it, the damage might already be quietly building up. But because it doesn't hurt, and because it doesn't always show up overnight, we tend to dismiss it. We tell ourselves, they're just getting older. Or we think, maybe they're just being picky eaters now. But the truth is, weight tells a story. It tells you what the body's going through behind the scenes, even when the person looks okay on the outside. So if you've noticed that your loved one is losing weight without trying, if they're skipping meals more often, or telling you they're just not hungry all the time, don't let it slide. Start simple. Encourage nutrient-dense snacks. Think smoothies with protein, soft foods with healthy fats, even meal supplements if needed. Make food more enjoyable again, not overwhelming. And most importantly, don't wait to bring it up with their doctor. Even just a few lost pounds can make a big difference in how the body handles illness, injury, or recovery. Now you might be thinking, okay, weight makes sense, but what about energy? Because sometimes it's not just how they eat, it's how they move. Or how little they move. Let's talk about the second sign, chronic fatigue and lack of energy. And why it's more than just feeling tired. Think about this. Your aunt used to be the first one out the door for a morning walk. Every day like clockwork, she'd grab her sneakers, throw on a sweater, and hit the neighborhood trail, rain or shine. But now she gets winded walking from the bedroom to the kitchen. She says she's just taking it easy. She shrugs it off with a smile and tells you she's not as young as she used to be. You want to believe that. You really do. But deep down, something doesn't feel right. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. A sharp drop in energy isn't always about getting older. Yes, aging changes the body. Yes, rest becomes more important. But when someone who used to be active suddenly struggles with basic movement, when climbing a few stairs feels like hiking up a mountain, that's not just slowing down. That could be a serious signal from the heart, the lungs, even the thyroid. These systems work silently in the background. And when they're not doing well, the first thing you feel is tired. Not the kind of tired that goes away with a nap, but the kind that lingers in the bones, makes simple things feel overwhelming, and robs the day of joy. Here's what's tough. Families often miss this sign because it comes on gradually. One day they're skipping walks. The next, they don't feel like cooking. Before long, they're spending most of the day sitting down. And we tell ourselves things like, they've earned their rest. Maybe they're just having a lazy week. Or worse, they're just being dramatic. But this kind of fatigue is not laziness. It's not even always about mood. Sometimes, it's the body struggling to keep up, quietly calling for help. What can you do? Start with gentle movement. A short walk, some light stretching, even chair exercises, something to keep circulation flowing and muscles engaged. Make sure they're drinking enough water. Dehydration alone can sap energy fast. And here's a key point. Track the pattern. Is this a new change? Has it been getting worse? Don't be afraid to bring it up at their next checkup, even if it feels small. Because energy is a currency, and when the body starts spending it too fast, something's off. But energy levels aren't the only quiet signals the body sends. Sometimes, it's the mind that gives us the biggest clue. Let's talk about the third sign, subtle memory changes. Now, let's shift from the body to the mind. Because sometimes, it's not what someone does. It's what they forget. Picture this. You're sitting with your grandma, sipping tea. She starts telling you a story, one of those warm, familiar ones from her younger years. You nod, smile, enjoy it. But 10 minutes later, she tells it again. Same words, same details, like it's the first time. And maybe it happens again tomorrow, or the day after that. Now look, it's easy to smile and let it go. You might even find it sweet. You might say, "Oh, Grandma's always been like that." Or, "That's just what happens when you get older." And yes, memory does change with age. We all forget where we put the keys. We all walk into a room and wonder why we're there. That's normal. But when someone begins repeating the same story again and again, or struggles to follow conversations they used to enjoy, or forgets important dates, names, or even how to do familiar tasks, that's when we have to pay attention. Because these are the kinds of subtle shifts that can quietly signal early cognitive decline. Not necessarily dementia, not always Alzheimer's, but maybe a vitamin B12 deficiency, maybe a change in blood flow to the brain, maybe the beginning of something we still have time to understand and manage. Here's what people often get wrong. They think all forgetfulness means the same thing. But it doesn't. Timing matters. Frequency matters. Was this a one-time thing? Or is it becoming a pattern? Do they realize they're forgetting, or do they get defensive when you bring it up? These differences can tell you a lot. So what can you do, without scaring them or making them feel ashamed? Start simple. Keep a memory journal. Just jot down what you notice and when. Encourage puzzles, word games, or memory apps. Stay social. Conversation is one of the best exercises for the brain. And if you're worried, talk to a doctor. Even a quick screening can bring peace of mind, or help you catch something early. Because when memory starts to slip, we don't just lose words. We risk losing stories, identities, independence. But with early attention, we can slow things down, and protect what matters most. And speaking of protection, let's talk about something else the body gives away quietly. Not through what it says or forgets, but through how it moves. Let's look at the fourth sign, changes in balance or gait. Let's keep going, because this next sign is one you'll often see before you ever hear about it. It's the way someone walks. Or the way they stop walking the way they used to. Picture this. You're over at your mom's house. She's moving from the living room to the kitchen, but this time, she's not walking freely. Instead, her hand grazes the back of the couch, then the edge of the table, then the counter. She's holding onto furniture like stepping stones. You ask if everything's okay, and she brushes it off. Oh, I'm just being careful. And maybe she is. But here's what many people don't realize. That kind of compensation, grabbing walls, avoiding rugs, pausing between steps. It's not just about caution. It's often a silent adaptation to something deeper going on in the body. See, changes in balance and gait are some of the earliest signs of muscle weakness, inner ear issues, or even neurological changes. In some cases, it's the first visible sign of Parkinson's disease, or early nerve decline in the legs and feet. But here's the problem. We tend to chalk it up to age. Of course she's slower, she's 75. Or worse. She's just being dramatic. She wants help with everything now. But the truth is, the way someone walks tells us so much about how their body is functioning. And when they stop trusting their own legs, even just a little, that fear of falling can lead to a dangerous cycle. Less movement, weaker muscles, higher fall risk, even more fear. And falls? Falls are one of the leading causes of injury and death in older adults. So no, this isn't something to overlook. If you notice someone's walking differently, or avoiding walking altogether, it's time to step in. Start with a mobility assessment from a doctor or physical therapist. Get a clear picture of what's going on. Then, slowly introduce gentle movement back into their routine. Things like chair yoga, tai chi, or even balance games can do wonders. Not just for strength, but for confidence. Because movement isn't just about staying active. It's about independence. And when that starts to slip, everything else can follow. But physical signs aren't the only ones that matter. There's another shift that's just as telling. And it starts when someone begins pulling away from the world around them. Let's talk about the fifth sign, social withdrawal. We're going to shift focus now. Not to what the body does, but what the heart quietly stops doing. Because one of the most overlooked warning signs of declining health is social withdrawal. Maybe it starts small. Your uncle, who used to crack jokes at every family gathering, who never missed a birthday, who loved being the center of the room, suddenly doesn't show up anymore. He says he's tired, or not feeling up to it, or he just doesn't pick up the phone as often. At first, you give him space. After all, isn't it normal for older adults to slow down? To prefer quiet evenings at home? But here's the part we don't talk about enough. We're wired for connection. From birth to old age, being around people, talking, laughing, feeling seen. It keeps our minds sharp. It boosts our mood. It literally supports our immune system. When someone starts pulling away from family, friends, even the things they once enjoyed, it's rarely just about needing peace and quiet. More often, it's loneliness wearing a disguise. And that loneliness, it's been linked to higher rates of depression, accelerated cognitive decline, and yes, even a shortened lifespan. And yet, it's one of the easiest signs to miss. Because there's no fever, no pain, just absence, silence, a once busy phone that now barely rings. Sometimes, they withdraw because they're embarrassed about memory lapses, or they're physically uncomfortable, or they're grieving in ways they don't know how to express. But no matter the cause, the result is the same: disconnection. And over time, It takes a toll. So what can you do? You don't need grand gestures. Just consistency. A weekly phone call. A short video chat. Dropping off a coffee and sitting for 10 quiet minutes. Encouraging them to attend a local senior center, or even join an online group where they can share stories or hobbies. Sometimes all it takes is one person showing up, reminding them they still matter. That their voice is still heard. That their presence is still valued. Because when someone starts to disappear from their social world, it's not just about loneliness. It's often a red flag waving from deep inside. One that tells us the emotional and cognitive systems need just as much care as the physical ones. And speaking of physical signs, let's talk about something even smaller, but just as revealing. Changes in the skin. Because when the body struggles to heal, it speaks volumes. Let's talk about the sixth sign. Slow healing wounds. These is something most people overlook. Not because it's hidden, but because it seems too small to matter. It starts with a little wound. Maybe you notice it on your neighbor's leg, just a tiny scrape, maybe from the garden or bumping the coffee table. Nothing big. But weeks go by, and it's still there. The edges are red. It hasn't closed. He says it doesn't hurt much. He slapped a bandage on it and calls it nothing. But your gut tells you, this shouldn't still be here. And you'd be right to listen. Because wounds that heal slowly, even small ones, can point to serious underlying issues. We're talking about poor circulation, often due to aging blood vessels or cardiovascular decline. It could also be a warning sign of diabetes, where the body can't repair itself properly, or a weakened immune system, which makes even minor cuts linger longer than they should. See, the skin is more than just a barrier. It's a mirror, reflecting what's happening deep inside. When healing slows down, it means the body isn't bouncing back the way it used to. That resilience, the thing we take for granted when we're younger, starts to fade. And if left unchecked, a simple sore can spiral into infection, hospitalization, or worse. But here's the thing. Most people dismiss these wounds. It's just a scratch. I probably bumped into something. Or, that's what happens when you get older. But timing matters. If a wound doesn't show clear improvement within a few days, if it's still open after a week or two, that's not just aging. That's a signal. So what can you do? Start by checking skin regularly, especially in areas that aren't easily visible, like the back of the legs or feet. Keep any cuts or scrapes clean and covered. And if something's not healing, don't wait. A quick visit to the doctor can catch circulatory problems, blood sugar issues, or immune imbalances early, long before they become emergencies. Because when the body struggles to repair itself, it's not just about one wound. It's about the overall ability to recover from life's small setbacks. And that ability plays a huge role in longevity. Now, as we move to the final sign, we're entering the most silent, most invisible, yet one of the most powerful predictors of long-term health. Let's talk about sleep. How well, or how poorly, someone rests each night tells a story no blood test can. Sleep. It's the foundation of health, yet as we get older, it often gets more complicated. Imagine this. You're sitting with your mom one evening. The clock strikes 9:30 p.m., and you're ready for bed. But mom? She's on the couch, looking tired, but not quite ready to sleep. Later, you hear her stirring in the middle of the night. She's wide awake, staring at the ceiling. It's 3 a.m. She tells you she's tried to get back to sleep, but her mind just won't quiet down. At first, you chalk it up to the normal aches and pains of getting older. But after a few weeks, it starts happening more frequently. She's up at 2, 3, 4 a.m., struggling to get a full night's rest. We often think this is just part of aging, that older people just don't need as much sleep anymore. But that's a dangerous misconception. What matters most isn't how long we sleep, but how well we sleep. And when sleep becomes fragmented, when someone can't stay asleep for a full cycle, that can spell trouble. Because it's during those deep, restorative hours that the body does its most important work. repairing tissues, strengthening the immune system, consolidating memories, and rejuvenating the brain. When those cycles get broken, things start to go awry. And it affects much more than just feeling tired the next day. Poor sleep can mess with the heart, leaving it under strain and more prone to issues. It can make the brain foggier, contributing to memory problems and cognitive decline. It can even weaken the immune system, leaving the body more vulnerable to infections and illnesses. So, when you see someone, your mom, your neighbor, your loved one, struggling with their sleep, don't just assume it's part of getting older. It's a big deal. What can you do about it? Start by encouraging a consistent bedtime routine. The body craves rhythm, especially as it ages. A simple routine can signal to the brain that it's time to wind down. Maybe a warm cup of calming tea, chamomile or lavender can do wonders. Or a bit of light stretching to release tension from the day. And one of the biggest offenders? Screen time. The blue light from phones, TVs, and tablets messes with the body's natural sleep cycle, making it harder to drift into deep rest. Try to avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. But more importantly, stay attuned. If you notice persistent changes in sleep, it's time to talk to a doctor. A sleep study or simple adjustments in lifestyle might be the answer to restoring healthy sleep patterns. And here's why all of this matters. When we talk about aging, we're not just talking about getting older. We're talking about living well, living with energy, clarity, strength, and purpose. Each of these signs, whether it's weight loss, fatigue, memory, balance, wounds, or sleep, are like tiny threads in a larger tapestry. They may seem small on their own, but together, they reveal how much longer someone can truly live well. And the beauty is, we don't have to wait until it's too late to make a difference. By recognizing these signs early, by taking action before things get too far, we can extend not just the years of life, but the life in those years. So, if you've learned anything today, let it be this. Listen to the body. Watch the signs. And most importantly, don't ignore the quiet whispers that are trying to tell us something. Because, at the end of the day, we all want more than just extra years. We want more healthy, happy, meaningful ones. And with a little care, we can make sure that's exactly what we get. I know this journey we've taken together today hasn't been easy. When we start looking closely at the signs of aging, it can feel like we're seeing changes we'd rather not confront. Watching a loved one, someone who was once so vibrant and independent, slowly change right before your eyes. It's heartbreaking. It's overwhelming. And sometimes, it's hard to even know what's normal and what's not. You might find yourself wondering, is this just part of getting older? Or should I be worried? And that confusion can make you feel helpless. Like you're standing at a crossroads with no clear way forward. But here's the truth. Knowledge is power. These signs we've discussed today, whether it's unexplained weight loss, fatigue, memory changes, balance issues, or sleep disturbances, they're not doom and gloom predictions. They're opportunities. Opportunities to act early. Opportunities to intervene before things escalate. Each of these signs, no matter how small they may seem, is a chance to take control of your loved one's health, to help them live a better, fuller life. The key is awareness. When you start to recognize these signals for what they are, you open the door to the right kind of care, to better understanding, and most importantly, to hope. So, if you've seen any of these signs in someone you care about, it's time to talk. It's time to have the conversation. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't know exactly what to say. Just opening the door to a real, honest discussion can make all the difference. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are so many resources, so many ways to help, whether it's professional advice, community support, or just leaning on family. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward improving their quality of life. And the truth is, it's never too late to care better. Even small changes, like helping someone reconnect socially, encouraging them to move more, adjusting their diet, or helping them get the right medical checkups. These things can lead to big improvements. You can make a real difference, and so can they. Together, you can create more moments of joy, more days of health, more memories shared. And that's the real goal, isn't it? It's not just about surviving the later years of life, It's about thriving, no matter how old we get. So, if you're watching this and feeling a bit of that weight on your heart, know that what you're doing right now, by paying attention, by caring, by learning, you're already giving the best gift of all. You're giving the gift of time, the gift of understanding, the gift of a better, fuller life for the people you love. Let's make every year count, because it's never too late to make a change, and it's never too late to care better. Let's take a moment to quickly recap the 7 subtle signs we've covered today, because I know this is a lot to absorb, and I want to make sure the key takeaways are crystal clear. An unexplained weight loss. When the pounds seem to fall off for no reason, it's more than just a poor appetite. A fatigue or lack of energy. When someone who once had a spring in their step starts feeling worn out even after a good night's rest. A memory changes. Those little lapses in memory that might seem harmless but can actually point to cognitive changes. A balance issues or changes in gait. When someone starts holding onto walls or furniture for support, it's not always about being careful. It can signal a deeper issue. A social withdrawal. When someone who was once social now avoids family gatherings or seems isolated, it's more than just wanting solitude. A slow healing wounds. When a small cut or sore refuses to heal, it could be a sign of circulation or immune problems. A sleep disruptions. Waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to get back to sleep isn't just a bad habit. It could be a red flag for heart health or brain function. Now, I want to know, have you noticed any of these signs in someone you care about? Or maybe even in yourself? Let's talk about it in the comments. Share your experiences, your thoughts, because we're all in this together, and the more we open up and share, the more we can support each other. If this video helped you today, and you want to stay informed on more tips and advice to support the health and well-being of your loved ones, please consider subscribing to Healthy Senior Advice. We're here to provide real, thoughtful guidance, whether you're a caregiver, a family member, or someone simply looking to learn more about healthy aging. Thank you for taking the time to watch. It means so much to know you're investing in the health of those you love. Remember, stay strong, stay loving, and stay informed. Because the journey of care doesn't stop here. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves and each other.